Hello, chat. It's good to see y'all. Cool. Let's do the quick rigmarole. I have a criminology degree. We watch crime. This is actual crime. Therefore, it's called true crime. As you all know, it talks about sensitive topics. You might not like them. They might upset you. So take care of yourself. We're watching Rebecca literally thinks she can get away with murder from Red Tree Crime about a month ago.
On February 3rd, 2008, Rebecca Fenton called 911 after she found her husband's body lying on the floor of their Florida home.
911, what is your emergency?
My emergency, I think my husband's been shot. My house has been burglarized. I just walked in. I'm not getting a pulse on him. I just came in from the gym.
Okay, what is the address there, ma'am?
It looks like a burglary. My God.
When the police arrived on scene, they found Larry Fenton's body lying just inside the doorway to his home. The cause of death appeared to be 2 gunshot wounds found on his back and neck. At first, Rebecca appeared devastated that her husband was dead. She continued to cry while talking with the police and while talking with her neighbors, but then something strange happened when the media arrived. Rebecca's tears suddenly vanished, and she was seen laughing as if nothing had ever happened. While the police continued investigating her husband's death, Rebecca was brought in for questioning.
I feel like that would be the moment you put on the waterworks, but...
Have you found anything else?
Not yet, no. I haven't, I don't have any information. The other officers are out on the scene doing what they have to do. Okay?
The lady said that it was going to take some time.
Yes, it will. It usually, forensics comes out there, they do the processing, and...
It really doesn't matter if he's gone.
So, but the more evidence, obviously, we can get, processing the scene, the better it will be and the quicker it will be to capture who's done this.
Good.
Okay? Okay.
Do we have an idea, anything?
God, surely they're not going to find gunshot residue on her hands.
The other officers are out there talking to the neighbors. They're doing canvassing, but they haven't gotten back to me yet. So there's more going on at the scene.
Right.
No, that's
No
okay.
way.
Something.
No.
Something.
Right. Well, once we're done talking, then I can report back to the scene, and then they can probably give me some more updated
But they
information.
took the lady, the
right now.
man, they told me that he's definitely gone, that he can't be brought back to life or nothing.
No.
The fuck does she mean, brought back to life?
Okay. As far as work goes, are you currently working?
I do a little bit of modeling for Bright House, but I wouldn't consider it work.
Okay.
I do a lot of charity work. I'm going to break my anonymity. I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been sober 3 years.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
I do a lot of work with
Very
harm
relevant.
and
Keep
rehab,
going.
So
Okay.
I don't work, but
Okay. Do you have an agent?
do I have an angel?
No, an agent for your modeling career.
A friend.
Okay. So it's like private. You're not with an agency. Okay.
All right.
When this incident happened, we have an in-law apartment in the back that we turned into a gym. I was in the gym,
Okay.
in our gym, when this happened.
Okay. Tell me about today.
So
when
believable.
you guys first got up.
I was on the property and did not hear 2 gunshots.
Happen in the morning. First of all, what time did you guys get up?
Super believe me,
I had to get up a
please.
little bit earlier than usual because I was taking a girl that I have to tell you, I'm in the program. I hate to break my anonymity, but it has a lot to do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the girls that I sponsor is in the PAR program. I had to pick her up to take her to a
Not
morning
looking for
meeting
sympathy
that
at all.
started at 9:45.
Okay.
And that meeting is probably 200 people saw us there.
Okay.
Larry had told me before his trip that he didn't want to do anything. He was going to go to the gym,
Uh-huh.
come home, do a little bit of work on his laptop.
What is the point of this
And then he was
if
gonna watch
she
golf.
said she was
Something
in their
about
gym when
Tiger
it
Woods
happened?
Playing in Dubai, and then of course try to take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
Because this poor guy went to bed early, and he wanted to stay awake for the Super Bowl.
Right. Okay.
And that's where he was left when this happened.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've ever shot a gun, you'll
Where was Larry
understand
when I
how
walked in the
fucking
door?
loud that shit is.
He was in the living
Even
room.
silencers aren't very
And he was
silent.
already watching TV.
Remember what you was watching?
Yeah, I joked with him.
Okay.
I said, the only thing that woods are good for is hunting and hiking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke that we have about Tiger Woods.
Okay, so he was watching golf at that
He
point.
had his feet up on the coffee table. He does it every step.
Okay.
Said that he wanted to take a nap
Mhm.
so that he could try to stay up for the Super Bowl. I did come in at one point, just kind of check on him. I was like, how's it going? Joked with him. Who plays golf in Dubai? Where is that place?
Mhm.
What the fuck are we
And he was
talking
like,
about, dude?
Yeah, but I bet you know all about Mary Kay, and we just joked.
Right.
And it was just a checking on him,
Mhm.
I was sitting on the ball when I heard a noise,
Okay.
but it didn't sound like a pop. It sounded like somebody dropped something.
Okay.
And I also had music on real loud. So I continued to keep
Smart.
working out, and then all of a sudden I was like, and I wasn't concerned. I just was,
Great alibi.
You heard something that sounded like you said it dropped.
something dropped.
Now,
Like something fell off the roof.
Was it one noise? Was it several noises?
No, it was one.
Okay.
It was it sounded like something fell off the roof.
Okay.
And I kept on doing my sit-ups. And then I realized, I was like, let me go check on him. But it wasn't because of the noise. I just, periodically, we just check on each other.
Mhm. Okay.
And that was,
From the gym, what route did you take?
Yeah, sometimes I see the person I live with and I'm married to.
my husband was laying in the foyer.
Okay.
There was blood everywhere. He was laying face down.
Okay.
Is the back door open or shut?
Surely she'd
mean
made a
open,
sign of
not
forced
locked.
entry.
Open, standing open?
Surely
No,
she...
it was shut, but it was not
Locked.
locked.
You idiot.
Is the front door locked?
The front door was not locked unless he got it to lock it, which I doubt, because I walked out the front door to go out to my car.
So smart, bro.
And,
There's a burglary. Also, there's no
Grab
sign of
some,
forced entry.
where and when, and some pamphlets on some sponsorship for AA earlier, and Larry wouldn't.
There's a I don't really know. It's not a metaphor. It's I'm failing to figure out the word, but it's like the trapped room dilemma or the locked room dilemma. Yeah, I guess a scenario, whatever. Whenever this kind of thing happens, there's two likely scenarios whenever there's a locked room scenario, right? I guess you could technically argue three. One, there wasn't forced entry. Somebody had access to get in and get out and did. So therefore, it's people with access to that, aka her, family members, whatever. Two, they haven't left. They're hiding within the confined space. Or three, there is a way to exit the locked room that has not been seen or established. And that's how they escaped. Claiming there's a robbery and having zero sign of forced entry kind of creates a thinner spectrum towards suspects. So she is inadvertently putting herself in the crosshairs by detailing that the doors were locked and stuff like that. Pretty stupid.
Get up and lock the front door. He'll do all that at night.
Do you guys normally leave your doors open, unlocked?
Not the front door, no.
Okay.
The front door is set up so that when you, I feel like I can't think. I feel like my mind's not inside of my head.
That's okay.
I haven't wrapped
What?
Right. Well,
my mind around the fact that
it's a huge shock.
Rebecca claims that while she was exercising behind their home in a makeshift gym, she heard a loud bang. At first, she ignored the sound, which the detectives found very strange, but eventually she would go check on her husband using the back door to their home. Larry's body was positioned in a way that it appeared he had been trying to run out the front door when he was shot from behind. Larry's watch and wallet were missing, and it appeared as if someone had run around the house, pulling out random drawers, trying to make it look like a burglary. The problem was that usually a thief will run away when they encounter a homeowner.
That's
Larry
very
had
true.
been shot in the back, which means he had been running away from the thief, so there should have been no reason a thief would need to murder the homeowner.
Also
As far
true.
as firearms in the house,
Yup, 100%. Good science. Burglars tend to not want to do anything beyond burgle. Whoa. Oh my God. They tend not to want to do more than what they came to do, which is burgle. So when met with somebody, they fucking leave unless they're a really bad burglar, which can happen. There was a case we watched a while back with the it was a gay couple who was like a polyamorous gay couple, and their friend died in the house, and they tried to like, the one in charge tried to like claim somebody came in and went up the stairs and shot the guy or stabbed the guy and whatever. Yeah, where the cop was like, what's he doing there? 3 gay guys and a straight guy in the same house. What's he doing there? Something like that. I can't remember the line, but that shit, great line delivery from that guy. But they tried to claim that it was a burglary and that he came from the back door, which if I remember right, didn't have a sign of forced entry. And also that from the back door, he went up to the 2nd floor and just stabbed the guy, which just doesn't happen. The efficient and smart route, they enter the home, they grab as much from the 1st floor as they think is possible and valuable. They leave it at the door where they entered, probably the back. And then if somebody shows up, they go to the door, grab the bag and leave. And if the 1st floor goes well, they go up to the 2nd, right? And then the same process. Burglars don't really want to murder. They want to make money. You know what would stop making money? Jail for a long time from a murder charge. So
Guns, firearms, guns.
We did own a gun.
Okay.
We bought one very, very recently.
You just have one gun in the house.
Yes.
Okay. Is it a handgun?
oh,
Is it a shotgun,
surely
a
it's not her
rifle?
gun.
It's something that it's a handgun.
Surely the
I
bullet
don't
doesn't
know a
match
lot
the
about
gun.
it, but we bought it
There'd be no way.
recently, and it's registered, so I can't tell you the exact date.
There's no
You're
way that the
searching you and
bullet
your husband.
shot would match the gun that they have.
Don't quote me. I think Larry told me that it was legal for both of us to use, but only if we used it in the house.
Okay.
That's
Like
just-
I couldn't put it in my car or.
That's
tote
just
it
not
around
how
in my
guns work,
car.
ma'am.
Right.
And again, don't quote me. I think Larry told me that it was legal.
That's just
for
not how
him
guns
and for
work.
I, but that it had to be used inside of our house,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kept in our bedroom.
Did you ever fire it?
No.
You ever handle it?
No, Larry and I talked about going to the firing range, and I was kind of leery about it. We just never did it, and then we never saw the whack job again. So it was like, well, it's there if we need it.
House
and then we don't
gun!
worry about
House gun!
it. And we never saw the guy again, never had a problem.
Leery, it means like
Just
sketched.
Real quick, officer,
like
when I
worried
said that, I got a
or
call
nervous.
from some people at the scene, and I guess there's a cell phone there. Whose cell phone would that be? Open cell phone on the ground, do you know?
It wouldn't be mine. Mine's on me.
Yours is on you? Does your husband have a cell phone?
Yes, he does. And when you open it up, there's a picture of me.
Okay.
Okay.
So you picked up the gun before, but just by like the
He brought it home and he showed it to me, and I was just kind of like, I was like, hon, we haven't seen this guy in a while. And he was like, I'm going to take you down the gun range. I'm going to show you how to shoot it so you're perfectly comfortable with it. We don't see the nut ball again, then fine. When I'm out of town, if you ever need
The
it.
nut
But I will
ball?
tell you this, it's only legal to use in the house.
Mhm.
You can't go toting it around.
That's not how guns work.
He joked with me, says you can't get PMS and think that you want it. And I was like, I understand.
Right.
And he was like, this is where it's going to be kept.
Where did you guys keep it in the house?
We kept it in our armoire, in our bedroom, in the 3rd drawer.
Oh, surely the burglar
Was it in a
walked
gun case?
into the house,
It was in a-
no
like a
resistance, went
canvas.
straight to the armoire
Did it come
and
with the
grabbed
gun?
the gun and
In
shot
other
your
words, was it
husband.
just a canvas case that you
That's
guys
100% what
I
happened.
think that it came with the gun.
While the police were investigating the crime scene,
Real.
they noticed that Larry's vehicle was not parked in the driveway. What's interesting is that the police would find the vehicle less than a block away, parked on the side of the road. Inside, they would find all the items, including cash, that had been stolen from Larry's home.
Awesome.
Why would a thief
Genius.
kill a homeowner that wasn't a threat, steal any valuables they could find, take a vehicle that's in the driveway, only to leave everything inside less than 2 blocks away?
Genius.
All right. How many cars do you have?
We have 2 vehicles. It took me probably 15, 20 minutes after everybody arrived. I was talking to a police officer, and it dawned on me that my husband's vehicle was missing. And I turned to him, I go, where the hell is my husband's Jeep?
Where does he keep the keys for the Jeep?
There's a old
Awesome
antique
question, bro.
desk, in our dining room.
Is that on the 1st floor? Or the
No way to
2nd
turn a
floor?
car on without the keys.
It's in an antique desk in the dining room.
Yeah, he keeps that. He keeps his wallet.
He keeps all that in there?
When he comes in.
Okay, so he wouldn't sit around the house with his keys in his pocket.
No. No, I can tell you exactly. We both keep our keys.
So another
many people know
obscure
where you keep
place
your
for the
keys?
burglar
My
to just
husband.
know
Nobody
to go
else?
into.
No. Nobody's been in our house.
Genius.
We've been good friends. It's kind of been a
In
choice
this
of ours, but
box.
also we just
It's a
Did you
box.
leave any keys in the car?
And in that box,
never.
Is there a spare key in
It's
the
a
car?
smaller
hide a key or
box.
something?
I don't know if my husband has a hiding key or a spare key to his Jeep. I know that there's 2 sets of keys to my car.
And where are your sets?
I have a set on me. I have a set on me.
Okay.
And I have an extra set that's also in that antique desk. Larry had, I think I have 2 sets when we purchased the car. The 2005.
Did you have
relevant,
those
so
keys
relevant.
on you today, or did you take them when you left?
I took them when I came in. I grabbed my keys. After I realized what had happened, I grabbed my keys off of, they were on the kitchen counter. And I grabbed them off the kitchen counter. When I realized that my house had been ransacked, I ran upstairs. When I saw how bad it was, my first thought was, I better get out
How would
of
they
here.
even think
Where
it's
was your
legal to
house
shoot someone in your own house? Because she's stupid. From what I remember, there are 2 states that still let you legally shoot somebody in your house because of stand your ground laws that are still in place. And I believe it's Florida and Texas. And it's basically like if somebody enters your property without your consent, you're able to defend yourself via firearm. It's a pretty ridiculous law that's been abused by lots of shockingly racist people. Alabama too. It's one of those 3 doesn't have it. I believe it's only 2. Let me see. Holy shit, there's a lot of stipulation. Hold on. Okay, so it's way more than 2 apparently. There's a huge variety of them. I found this. There are segments, there are different types of self-defense law. Number 1, stand your ground, Castle doctrine is another one in which you don't have to retreat until you've used deadly force and it's ineffective. And stand your ground is you have 0 duty to retreat. You don't have to. There's no requirement for you to leave. Duty to retreat is you leave. Number 1. Apparently, all of these states still have stand your ground laws. I don't know where I got the idea that it was only a few. Yeah, so this is even saying that it's important to understand that even states that have stand your ground laws still have certain restrictions when it comes to using force. They may require that the threat of perceived harm is objectively reasonable and that the force used be proportional to the threat. Stand your ground laws may also require that the person using self-defense be at a location lawfully and not be the initial aggressor. So proportional, police have this, not that they do it. There's like a proportional, I forget the concept or the term itself, but essentially police are supposed to give force back equal to the amount given to try to stop the aggressor, right? This is a similar concept in which you're able to use force that is proportional, which is also objective to the state, which is great. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find something about the specifics. Okay, so this is a newer thing, and this has less states. Okay, so this is something from 2023 that's stating 27 states have stand your ground laws. These are the duty to retreat ones. These are the castle doctrine ones. About the places you would expect, really. These states generally prioritize an individual's right to self-defense and do not require them to first attempt to retreat. Okay, so I guess it's more. So I was wrong, which I will admit. Essentially, she's trying to argue this stand your ground thing. I really don't know what she's trying to say by saying it's only usable in the house, which is just not how it works. That's not how guns work. Guns are registered by the state and you're licensed to carry as an individual. Not that those laws are very well done or well regulated. There's not a gun that's like permitted for one household, right? It's permitted for the person or persons. People are asking the difference of retreat and castle. Duty to retreat is the opposite of stand your ground, in which if you're in a dangerous situation, you're obligated to try to get away before anything else. So your duty is to retreat from the situation. Castle doctrine is essentially deadly force, but in a sense that you should try to leave. You can defend yourself, but if you're unable to defend yourself, or if it's not working, you should leave. So that's very objective to the situation, or subjective to the context of whatever is happening.
The whole house or any particular?
Either way, I have
the living room was,
zero clue what she's talking about.
My bedroom was. our bedroom was, but especially my husband's office. And I went to reach on the floor for the phone because that's where all of our numbers are. And I was like, let me get out of here. So I went out.
What floor did you go to?
The second floor.
Okay, so you came in, you
Saw
saw
my
him.
husband. I felt her pulse.
And then you went upstairs?
Yes, I did.
What'd you go upstairs for?
Because when I turned the corner and saw the living room, it been
You can turn ad block off if you want.
It'd
be cool.
To see what the hell had happened.
Okay.
Twitch
And
sometimes
I said,
is
I'm
able
loaded. I
to
have the police
work
following
around
me,
ad
so
block,
you're
so you
in
might
my
just
house,
not
you
get
better
one,
come out
but
now.
Okay, then when did you call 911?
I thought the house had been ransacked. I ran back down. I checked my husband again for a pulse.
Did he have a pulse the first time?
I couldn't tell.
What about the second time?
I didn't feel one, but I didn't know if I was feeling in the right place.
Okay, now.
I got out of the house. I went to my car, which was in the driveway.
I think she's giving
I
details
opened up
that are
the
not
door,
needed.
And I called you
Yeah, because
guys.
she's full of shit.
They find it very strange that after Rebecca finds her
A lot of suspects tend to embellish and do that. And this isn't a guarantee. Once again, like, lie detection isn't guarantee science. It's like there are methods, there are certain things a lot of suspects do when lying. There's patterns, but these aren't guarantees. A lot of lying is based in indulgement and embellishment. So when somebody is telling a lie and they see that the person is asking more about it, they indulge it by adding more. They will throw in more details around the lie that aren't pertinent to the question or the conversation, but they will put in little details about said lie in, like, either the person's state of mind at the time, the environment, even something irrelevant to the question at hand. They'll throw in random details in order to form this story around a lie in order to make, one, the lie either more believable, or two, bolster that lie within irrelevant information in order to keep the thought processes away from the lie, right? So they'll flood information into the conversation in order to put in more things to think about, so they don't think about the holes in the argument or the lie at hand. It happens a decent amount. It's not a guarantee, but this is something that happens a lot with suspects. They'll just talk and talk because they think if they're honest and talk about a bunch of shit or a bunch of the stuff that's having to do with them within their life or within the situation or the environment or where they were, stuff like that, they think it'll, like, make what they're saying more believable, and it's usually the opposite.
husband's body and she checks his pulse. She runs around the house unarmed to see what happened. After looking through every room in the house, she then checks her husband's pulse a second time, then goes outside to call the police. Rebecca says that the first pulse check did not confirm Larry was dead. So why didn't she immediately dial 911 and ask for an ambulance? Also, why did she stay in a house that potentially had a murderer inside?
Okay.
And then I got out of my car and I was hysterical, and I just started pacing the driveway. I was like, somebody's got to get here now. If he's still alive, maybe you can help him.
All great questions.
Trying to remember what else I said.
What did they tell you on the phone?
Try to calm down. What is your name? Help is on the way. Was he shot or was he stabbed? I told him that I didn't know. I couldn't
See,
tell.
now she's talking about the phone conversation with the 911 operator.
I don't know that I was screaming.
As if it's very necessary, you know?
When you checked him, you just checked his pulse.
His eyes were open. I checked here.
Was he face up or face
He
down?
was face down.
Face
There was
down?
blood all around him.
How was his head? Was his head down or to the
His head
side?
was to the side and his eyes were open, and that's what made me think that maybe he was alive, and if I could get an ambulance out there fast enough, maybe we could save his life.
Okay.
But you didn't. You didn't call
So you checked
911
his pulse?
faster.
Did you?
I checked his neck. When I came back down the stairs, they checked his arm. And then I thought it was a good idea if I got out of the house to just call the police.
Okay. You didn't try CPR, didn't try to revive him?
No, I didn't. I didn't think it was a good idea to touch anything.
What did you
Are
think
extra
that-
details sometimes like a trauma thing? Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, is it's not a guarantee, because sometimes people can be so rattled by witnessing an atrocity that
Okay.
they'll just
I
like
was-
say
Let
shit.
me just make sure I understand you right. You came in the back door, your husband's laying there.
Yes.
You went to him first.
Yes,
Okay.
screamed.
Okay.
Throughout this interrogation, Rebecca
It
constantly
was
reminds the
nuts.
detectives that she was screaming and crying when nobody was around. She says this to make sure they all know that she is the victim.
Where's the nearest phone to your husband at that time?
The nearest phone to
Adding
my
to the thing I was
husband
already
is in the
saying.
living room, but our
Okay.
living room phone, the buttons haven't been working recently.
Okay.
So my cell phone is sitting in my car. I would have had to have gone upstairs and either used his business line or used
Okay.
the landline that's upstairs. When I went upstairs, it wasn't to use the phone. It was to see what the hell had happened and if anybody else was still in my house.
Unarmed,
I
by
saw
the
my
way.
husband's office and I saw my room had been ransacked. I ran back down the stairs. I checked Larry again.
Okay. Was
Very
anything
smart.
ransacked
Unarmed.
on the first floor?
Unarmed, searching for a killer. I am very
Yes.
smart. Believe me. Smile. Believe my testimony.
Ransacked. The drawers had been pulled out. All of my
They sacked my
self-help books
house.
had been
I searched
pulled
for
out.
them after my husband got shot twice and blood's all over him. I looked for that bastard. I was gonna cry at him.
I'm having a hard time remembering, but I'll do the best I can. And I think it was a good idea to move them. I
Okay.
just remember telling the lady, hurry if we get an ambulance to him. Maybe he's
Let me
not
just
dead.
ask
Because
you, why didn't you think it was a good idea to move him?
What the shit? What is happening? Hello?
I just think that, well, I couldn't.
Bro,
I
that was
couldn't
like
fathom
30
exactly what
seconds.
had happened. I couldn't.
What in the world?
What did you think happened?
There's something very wrong. He couldn't be dead.
Processing excuse. Creating lie.
If I
Loading.
could get an ambulance
Loading.
there fast enough, maybe they could help. I didn't think it was a good idea to touch him. I can remember being leery just to get
Hold
a
on,
pulse.
let me ask ChatGPT.
No, I just... Guess I just watched too much TV and it's like, don't touch.
I can't wait, bro. Do you think
Don't.
somebody's... Guys, do you think somebody's going to get arrested and there's going to be a whole thing about how they tried to use ChatGPT to, like, fool the cops? It's going to happen, right? There's going to be some stupid guy who commits murder and tries to get away with it because he asked AI to help him. Even though I'm pretty sure some of them would probably be like, I'm not going to help you with that. That's really fucked up. There's going to be one that will, and it's going to be really bad and really stupid, and they're going to do it.
What kind of TV? would
There was a
tell you
lawyer
that?
who did?
I don't know.
Oh, my lord.
CSI, I guess. You know, don't touch anything. Stay, you know, the minute you find out something's wrong, get outside, call the police. You know, I just wanted to get an ambulance there because I wasn't sure whether he had a pulse or not. I didn't know if I was checking even right. And if I got an ambulance there fast enough, maybe they could get it back.
asked AI how to hide a body.
Rebecca keeps saying that her main goal was to get an ambulance to her location as quickly as possible.
What the fuck is this video,
If that's
bro?
the case,
Get this away
then
from
why
me.
take her time walking through both floors of her home,
Ugh.
walk past 2 landline phones,
Yup.
and then go outside to make the
Yup.
911 call?
Yup.
And he had no enemies, correct?
No,
You don't have any enemies?
no.
Is there anything of value in the house?
Oh, the misery.
Jewelry. We don't have any money in the house.
But nobody's been in the house to know that's there, correct?
No,
Okay. Any marital problems?
none at all.
He has a couple of ex-wives, is that
Yes, he
correct?
does, and we've never had any problems from either one of them. One of them lives right down the road. We're not friends with them, but they don't give us any problems, and I've never physically seen
I do
either one of them.
under here.
Rebecca's neighbors would tell the
Yes.
police that over the past year, Rebecca had lost quite a bit of weight. The detective is curious why her appearance had drastically changed, so he confronts her with this information.
Oh, shit.
And the reason I ask is, from canvassing the neighborhood, some people say that your appearance has changed slightly
Oh, surely she's
in the
not.
past year. You lots thinner in the
Adulterous.
face and
Well, I quit drinking 3 years ago, so maybe it's from the bloating. But I've always weighed 122 pounds, and I fluctuate between 120.
But you were bloated before? Is that?
Bloated in the face from drinking alcohol, yeah.
Okay. No drug use?
Marijuana.
How often do you use marijuana?
I used marijuana.
Okay.
My sobriety date is 2/17 of 2005. I am clean and sober.
You're an alcoholic and you use marijuana?
And I use marijuana. Drugs are not a part of my story besides that at all.
Okay.
I love when I hang out with everybody and use marijuana.
He'd be out
I'm so cool and hip.
He would have a beer.
Hey guys, you want to use some marijuana?
Tolerate. He couldn't drink. He couldn't tolerate it.
The detective asks Rebecca to go through her day again so they can compare her story with the first time she told it.
Smart.
They ask Rebecca about any phone call she made.
Very
and that's
common.
When she tells them she made a phone call using her cell phone while she was working out in her gym. The inconsistency here is that previously, Rebecca claimed she had to go to her car to get her cell phone so she could call 911. But now she is saying that she had her cell phone on her while she was working out.
Which is exactly why the police do this.
Don't pick up on this piece of information.
Okay.
Did you get any phone calls during that time period you were home, or make any phone calls?
I don't know why I had faith.
Did I make any phone calls? No, I did get a phone call from a girl that I sponsored.
That is
and I told
exactly why they ask for the story again.
Is there a phone in the
But I
room, or
guess
you
they
called your
just
cell phone?
don't have good listening skills.
And I said to Gail, I said, is this important? Do you think you're going to drink? Are you having any problems? What are your thoughts and feelings?
That is literally a lie.
You?
That is
Okay.
the exact
said,
thing to
listen,
press
I'm working
her
out right
on.
now.
That's
She
the
goes,
same girl you were with earlier?
no, this is a different
Okay.
one.
So it was just a quick conversation while you were in the gym.
Yeah, it was like, you're going to drink? If you're not going to drink and, you're not flipping off the walls and flipping in or whatever and everything's okay, I do care, but let me finish.
What the hell is she?
Right, okay. Are there any other phone calls today that came or went from
After
your
Whoa.
Mhm.
Sloppy Joe. My Sloppy Joe is all sloppy and no Joe.
The other issue they have is the crime
Just
scene
kidding.
itself.
This is Sloppy
the
and
intruder would
Joe.
have entered through the front door,
Hold
which
on.
means Larry would have seen and heard the intruder from the living room couch. How did the intruder get behind Larry to shoot him if the intruder would have been between Larry and the front door? Also,
Joe
why
got
would the
sloppy.
intruder
I'm
stay around
jealous.
to ransack the house, which would have taken at least 5 minutes? And why did the intruder decide to steal from this house in the middle of the day with 2 parked cars in the driveway?
So if somebody came in, he would have been downstairs?
He was downstairs, and if somebody would have walked in, they wouldn't have immediately saw him.
Uh-huh.
They would have had to gone in a little bit and seen him at the end of the couch. They wouldn't have walked in the front door.
Could
and
somebody
seen
have
him.
walked in and walked upstairs without seeing him?
Could somebody have walked in and walked upstairs and not seen him? Absolutely.
You
My
think
Joe's
so?
immediately sloppy.
Yeah, because our staircase is right there. They could have walked right into the front door,
And with
but
the-
he would have heard them.
He would have heard
Oh,
them gone
absolutely.
upstairs. So the person that ransacked the place probably killed him first, you think?
Give us a bite? No. You're going to have to steal it. Nom, nom, nom.
You put my husband's bed. I'm sorry. There's no way that you could have torn that house to smithereens
Steals?
without
Attention,
Larry.
a pickpocket!
He was laying.
Attention!
Somebody come in the door because it looks where he was laying like, not maybe there's a confrontation, but he came into the foyer. There's no reason for him to come in the foyer unless he was crossing over the kitchen to get beneath you.
I'm just trying to understand this. What kind of person would shoot somebody, make that noise, and then take time to ransack a house?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I have no idea what happened.
I think you do,
And I
ma'am.
didn't hear.
And you didn't hear the car leave?
No.
Where was his car at in reference to where you were?
My car's parked here, and he's parked here.
I was really loud music.
Yeah, he gets
Smile.
parked in the dirt, I get the driveway.
Damn.
Sometimes he'll bring it around
They
and
really tore the house up?
What'd you
They
say?
really tore your house up?
I didn't
I mean,
look that
they
well.
knocked things over, knocked over big items, tipped things over.
Peepaw
It
bands.
looked like
Hello,
the
Philip.
living room, the stereo system.
Philip
had been knocked
Zaza, how
over.
are you
I can
doing
remember
today?
that.
Do you have a good
Doors
stream?
pulled out.
But nothing was taken. The stereo was still there. The TV.
He was hanging out with Fit MC today. I was jealous.
Store. We've got 3 pieces. It could be somebody's retirement, for God's sakes.
And that was still there?
There were paintings in there that are worth $17,000 to $25,000.
No.
See, this person didn't know they were antiques. They didn't know they're paintings. Timber for right above
What
our
were they
fire.
looking for then?
You're asking me questions I can't answer. I don't know. We don't have money in our house. My
Do you have a safe in
expensive
the house?
God, she's so smart, bro.
and my expensive jewelry is kept in a sewing box that is it's an old-fashioned antique sewing
Why
box.
do I eat so late? You eat at 5?
The middle open.
'Cause I'm
sort
not
of like a
elderly,
Chinese
bitch.
Puzzle box.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been
Meemaw
in
looking
that?
ass.
Let me think for a second. I think 4 years, but I can't think straight. And
I also did eat around 5. I had a chicken chimichanga because I mowed my lawn
No.
and it was
absolutely
sweaty
not.
and
So
gross.
somebody wouldn't be looking
and I got
for
hungry.
drugs.
No.
So I did have something around 5.
No,
Fuck
I'm not
you.
even clean and sober.
Just
Like
trying to
that.
figure out why somebody would spend that much time in your house.
I don't know. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh no. Joe got sloppy on me.
I'm just trying to get my mind wrapped around the fact that he's gone, and I just want to know. I was gonna say, tell me who did this, but you know, at this point, I feel like it really doesn't matter who did it because he's gone. So I want to know when I'm going to be allowed to go back.
Do I need a
to my
bib?
home.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I do need a bib, bro.
Anything's missing. Do you have any
Ah.
anything? Has anything come through?
Oh,
The
no.
neighbors?
Takes a long time to get in the house and process. It could take all night.
That's what the woman said.
They're very meticulous.
My dad does this shit all the time,
It's good.
and I'm starting to understand, man.
And if the
I'm
suspect
messy
was all
as
over the
shit.
house, you know, they're gonna have to
He
process.
left something behind, right?
I'm transforming.
Mhm.
Do you think it was one person? Or are we looking at more than one person?
I don't know because I haven't.
I'm gonna eat
been
my
into this
vegetables like a
game. I
good
don't
boy
know.
now.
I haven't been.
Yeah.
The detectives have their suspicions, but they
No
don't
way.
have any evidence to arrest Rebecca.
Bro.
At least, not yet. Before they let her go, they ask her if they can run some tests. More specifically, gunpowder residue tests on her hands.
Uh-oh. Surely she
Right.
thought about it.
The only other thing that we're gonna do is just do forensics. Do some
Oh,
processing.
surely.
They're just gonna take
Surely she thought about
photographs of
wiping
you.
gun residue
Okay, we're
off.
just gonna test your hands and collect some clothing. Okay, we have clothes
Wait, guys, do you want to guess if washing your hands gets rid of gun residue? Someone asked the question. Nope!
here. We'll give you t-shirt and shorts. Okay, and then that's it. Okay.
We're just gonna put you in your room, but we're gonna ask that you don't wash your hands. Okay?
Right, I understand.
Because you understand we have to rule you out because you were there, right?
The woman explained to me
Okay.
because I signed
It makes it
something
easier
that
if they
said
don't
something
wash their
about
hands, but-
accused, and then it was she had to come in the bathroom with me, so I didn't wash my hands. Well,
Does it ever come off? Yes, but you'd have to wash your hands very thoroughly for a long time. They're asking her not to wash her hands because it does get rid of some, so it's going to make it harder. But you basically have to put other chemicals on your hands to wipe off the particles that they're going to look for, because they're not going to search for the stuff within a gunpowder that washing your hands normally gets rid of.
all of a sudden, my suspect, and she very calmly explained.
Does
that
just being near a gun when it's fired get residue on you?
Is how it goes, and this
You would have to be very close. I mean, you'd basically have to be on it, or you'd have to put your hand on the hammer, or not on the hammer, the top. I don't fucking know the term right now. The barrel. Yes. Thank you. So like, really, you would have to be like right by it. Basically, if I remember gunshot forensics, which is very sketchy on if I'm accurate and remember this right. When you shoot a gun, hammer pulls, gun barrel goes like this, recoil, but the gunpowder is like a burst, right? So it like ignites it pops and that combustion causes the bullet to go forward, right? But because it's pushing against the surface, equal force is given back, physics, whatever. So that residue goes backwards, not forwards. So some will sit on the bullet. More likely than not, because it's hitting an object, the residue will like burst in this like little region. And typically that region is where that person's holding that gun. But once again, it'd probably be very hard to get some on you unless you were very close to a gun when it was shot. Most likely that means you were the one doing it. What if you wear gloves? I mean, yeah, but you can also test clothing because once again, it kind of does this like backwards spread. So depending on where the gun is when it's shot, like if it's close enough, if it's far out, maybe not. But if somebody's closer and they shoot, it could get all on here. If they go way out, it could come back here. More likely on the hand though. It is much harder to find on clothes if they shoot properly, but it also sits on skin.
This is why it goes.
That's why they're testing her hands.
See, we
It's
want
on her
to do this 'cause
hands.
we don't want somebody to say 3 months from now after we did nothing with you that you did it. You see what we're saying?
I don't understand what you're saying, no.
That's the purpose of us
Oops.
doing this, to eliminate you
Okay.
since you're at the house.
Okay.
So if somewhere down the line, somebody says 3 months, somebody's down the line accuses you for whatever reason, we can say, well, we did this,
Uh-oh.
this, and this, and,
Great.
okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
You haven't shot a gun recently, have you?
No,
Okay.
no, I don't.
Surely not. Surely not her own gun.
The tests they did would come back negative for gunpowder.
Really?
While the tests were being done, the detectives had a chance to talk with each other.
No way.
They still couldn't understand why Rebecca did what she did after finding her husband's body.
Just try to get your line
Negative,
of thinking.
huh?
We were thinking about this, and both of us are married, and we thought, well, if this happened to us, we don't think we would have left our spouses
Now I'm
side
curious.
during that time. I mean, especially if we thought there was some hope that they were alive.
That's true.
I got scared. I thought the best thing for me to do was to get out of the house.
What were you scared of at that time?
Getting caught. Ooh.
What had happened, call the police, get people there as soon as possible.
But
I didn't-
what I don't understand though is why you take the time to go upstairs. The danger upstairs, the unknown
To fake the
upstairs.
crime scene, idiot.
Why would you put yourself in that situation?
I mean,
I wondered
If
if
you-
somebody was still in my house.
what were you going to do if you ran across somebody?
I don't know.
die.
I don't know. Probably get killed.
Yeah.
Still, what about...
That's the first
when
truthful
Jermaine's
answer she's
trying
had.
to- What, if he's still alive, maybe I can help him?
Of course I wanted to help him.
Damn. Joe gave me some good sloppy, bro. That was yummy.
But you left.
I walked outside and called the police. I left the scene. I walked outside and called the police
And left your husband.
and asked them to get an ambulance there as quick as possible. Because I wasn't for sure that he was dead. I didn't know if he'd been shot or if he'd been stabbed. And could they get an ambulance there as quick as possible?
But you didn't attempt any CPR, didn't stay with him. I mean, why did you leave?
I thought it was a smart thing to do. Get out of the house, not,
Now I'm curious.
get out of the house and call the police.
21 months
That's what I was
only
thinking.
shit. I think I'm gonna
And horrified by what
sneak
I had seen and what had happened. I wasn't sure what had happened, and it had to have happened, and I was so close by.
Rebecca makes a mistake and she tells the detectives that she saw 2 wounds on her husband's back. Paramedics didn't know how many wounds or their location until they removed Larry's shirt. So how did Rebecca know?
How would you know that there were 2 wounds, though, when all that's starting to coagulate and run together? They had to actually physically remove clothes to see how many wounds there were.
He was laying on the floor with his face like this. His eyes were open. I saw a wound here, and I saw a wound what looked like in the middle of his back.
And what did these wounds look like?
He had either been shot or he
I
had
mean,
been
you
stabbed.
can probably
Why do
see
you say that? What
a
the wounds
perforation
look
in
like?
clothing from a gunshot.
They didn't look like wounds. It was just, they looked like blood. I didn't see wounds. I saw blood on his clothes.
What color was his sweater?
It was a white, grayish sweatshirt he was wearing.
Dark or light?
It was light.
And then
It is
all right,
odd that the
so then you said
paramedics
the house,
couldn't
there's
tell
nobody
until they
there,
looked into it more,
obviously,
though. That's kind of where they're going
So
off
why'd
of.
you leave your husband there?
Call the police. Should I have stayed with them and
There was
put him
no
in my lab?
there was no phone in the house, or
There was a phone in the house. I
We're
did
just
not.
trying to understand why you did what you did.
Ominous
did he say
statement.
anything? Could you see his chest rising and falling? Did you tell
No.
if he was breathing?
No, but I thought that he might be alive because his eyes were open. And I just bent down. I was like, Larry? Larry?
Did he make any sounds
No.
at any point?
No. And I got up and I went outside and I called the police. If I had known that I was supposed to be with him, or hold him, or do CPR, then I would have. I think that I'm trying to think of what I was thinking.
Did the 911 operator ask you if he's breathing? What did the 911 operator? What did you tell them?
I said, I believe my house is.
Quick,
just
somebody's
been
complaining
burglarized,
about
and it
ads.
looks
Everybody
my husband
omegalo like something
could
happened.
possibly be deceased, but I can't tell. She said, where are you calling from? I gave her my last name and my address. I was hysterical, so you'll have to listen to the tape to know what I said exactly.
Now, if only you guys did this normally.
I didn't think it was wise for me to touch him, to get blood on me, to turn him over, to do anything like that. I thought that would just either make things worse for the scene. I didn't know if anybody was still in my house the first time when I found him.
Be funnier?
I guess if you guys would have shown up and I would have had blood all over me, I guess it might have incriminated me.
Damn.
I did think that he might still be alive because his eyes were open.
Even though the detectives believed that something wasn't right with her story, they would be forced to end the interview and let her go.
Mm-hmm.
Before she leaves, Rebecca wants to know why the crime scene doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I'm just a little concerned
No reason.
about the last questions that have been asked because they didn't make sense.
I'm just curious.
The last questions have been asked.
When you're, how could somebody have known that those keys went to that Jeep?
You asked that. I didn't ask.
I know. I've got some questions. Like there's a few things here that don't make sense. Why would they take keys? How could they have known that it belonged to a Jeep? You're telling me a neighbor tells me the Jeep.
Because it says Jeep on the keys. I literally own a Jeep. The key thing says Jeep on it.
Wasn't there?
And didn't you say you took
Most
your
keys
off
have
the
a
counter?
symbol
I took
of
the
what
keys
brand
off
it
the
is
button.
on the
Why would-
Why
keys.
wouldn't they have taken them? They're out in the open. And take the Hyundai. The Hyundai is nothing. Hyundai's clearer, a better car. It's closer. It's right there.
Damn.
So I guess I'm just a little concerned that there's some questions
Rude.
here that aren't making sense to me.
They're not making sense to us either.
Okay.
My car's better. What the hell?
You're hoping maybe you could shed some light on it.
The Jeep slander.
Rebecca was released and she was told she was not allowed to go home for several days.
Yep.
This made Rebecca very angry and she demanded to be allowed to go home, even for just a few minutes.
Nope.
The police held firm and she was
What
forced to
the-
stay with a close friend. The following
What
day,
the fuck?
investigators decided to search her car that was sitting in the driveway.
Oh.
Under the driver's seat, they found a man's watch and the murder weapon. The gun was registered to Larry, and it was the same one Rebecca was talking about during her interview. Testing confirmed that it was indeed the weapon that was used to kill Larry, but there were no fingerprints found anywhere on the gun. The detectives decided not to confront Rebecca, at least until they had more evidence tying her to the murder. This decision would lead to the case remaining unsolved for over 5 years. During this time, Rebecca tried to get her husband's very large life insurance policy, but because there were so many unanswered questions, The insurance company refused to pay it out. Rebecca would begin to struggle with her bills, and then one day she received a notice from the bank telling her they would be foreclosing on her home. Strangely enough, not long after receiving this letter, Rebecca's home would go up in flames. Because the fire department could not figure out how the fire began, Rebecca received a very nice insurance payout. Not long after the fire broke out, the police would arrest a petty thief named Alfred Noland. Alfred realized he was about to break his parole, so he told the police a story about a woman named Rebecca Fenton. Alfred claimed that he had lived and dated Rebecca for a short time, and he remembers that she was struggling to pay her bills. Alfred claims that while he was living with her, a fight broke out between them about money. During the fight, Rebecca grabbed a kitchen knife and threatened Alfred with it. She told him she would kill him, just like she did Larry, if he didn't get her more money. With Alfred's testimony, the police had enough to bring Rebecca in for another interrogation. This one would only last a few minutes. As soon as Rebecca realized what was happening, she demanded a lawyer. Unfortunately for her, they already had an arrest warrant signed by a judge, so Rebecca was officially charged with murder. Prosecution believed that after her workout, she came inside where Larry was watching TV from the couch. She then went upstairs, grabbed the gun, and went back downstairs to confront Larry. As soon as Larry had seen the gun, he got up and ran to the front door. Rebecca then fired the weapon at her fleeing husband. From there, Rebecca believed that all she had to do was stage a burglary and put a few items into Larry's vehicle, but then she ran out of time and had to abandon the vehicle a few blocks away.
And use her own gun.
And washes the gun residue off her hands. Realizing she was out of time, she hides the gun under her seat, thinking that later she can dispose of the gun properly. The evidence that they had, paired with Alfred's testimony, was enough to convince the jury she was guilty. Rebecca received life in prison without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. Was Rebecca set up, or is she just a cold-blooded killer?
I would say a few too many things line up there to be set up. Some of that stuff is a little too convenient. Her asking about the crime scene and then being mad she can't go back and stuff like that. How'd she wash it off? Like I said, you can wash it off if you're very thorough, but it's really hard and does take some time. It takes a lot of elbow grease to like really get gun residue off your hands. People don't really do the diligence of washing off residue fully. They usually end up finding it because what they'll do, from what I remember, things could change, like gunfire, right? So hold gun, bam, right? So in the general area of where this gun goes off is this cone of your upper torso, yeah? So they won't test just hands usually. They'll test the region. They'll collect stuff. If they said that this is the clothes they were wearing when they saw the thing, whatever, when they got stopped, they'll test the clothes, they'll test the skin in this general area, the hands, stuff like that. So is that going to be the nursery? Guys, that's where I shit. That's not going to be the nursery. I poop in there.